I am Gibson Kawago from Waga.
My name is Arnold Shoko. I'm the founder of Lima.
I'm Sarah Mwindi. I'm an accredited counseling psychologist and the founder of SEMA.
My name is Kilamo Mjema, professionally a doctor, but a co-founder at Down Kononi.
I'm a Chief Strategy Officer at Madarasa, and I'm very fortunate to participate in the Ennovate Venture Building Program.
Once again for making time to join us today. This is a program that I've been working together with some amazing mentors, venture experts, and also very ambitious entrepreneurs from Tanzania, from Kenya, from Nigeria that will be showcasing what they've been doing. And we're looking forward to connecting them or, building a lot of relationship between people attending and also the startups in different ways. It could be partnerships to scale, partnerships in terms of funding, as case may be, depending on where the interests are for them. So I'm going to just open the agenda for today, and we just showcase in terms of what today will look like, and we'll then kick off immediately. So for today, we will be having a very interactive session. We'll have the introduction, just have a bit of program overview in terms of what the program is all about, what are we trying to achieve with the program. Then we're going to have a panel session. Then the startups will come to have about 5 minutes to showcase what they've been building. So we've selected about 7 startups from different ecosystems that participate in the program to come to tell or show in terms of what they are trying to do with their innovation, where they are currently, and what are they looking at for, and also it gives you opportunity to be able to meet them and see if there are alignments between what they are building and also your interest. Then we're going to have a breakout session. So for each of the startup pitching, there's already a breakout room. So maybe if there's anyone that you are interested in, maybe you want to learn more about what they do or opportunities to kind of connect for long-term relationship, you can actually be able to let us know in the chat box, and we'll add you to the breakout room. Then you get opportunity to speak to them. Then we also have to do our announcement in terms of our funding in principle, people that we intend to be able to continue to provide support and also bootstrapping funds. Then we'll have the closing. So I talked about first, quickly, we're going to have opening remark and also introduce the moderator, also talking about the session and what the program is all about from our own side. And at the same time, introduce acknowledge the panelists that will be discussing some of the topics. And we also want to involve every other person in the audience, because the discussion is something that is very interesting, that cuts across every ecosystem player. And we will go into now just having an overview of the program. Then we'll have the panel session. After the panel sessions, we have now the pitching. So this is how the pitching is going to go. We're going to have Beshiga starting this pitching. Then we have to Sema from Kenya. We have Down Kononi from Tanzania. We have Tayari from Tanzania. We have Lima from Tanzania. We have Smart Darasa from Tanzania. And we have Rabbit Africa from Nigeria. That's how they are going to pitch and showcase their innovation today. Thereafter, we're now going to have about just 5 minutes of one-on-one meetings. So for people that want to further engage with these startups after their pitch session, you can just indicate in the chat, and we'll be able to give you the opportunity and add you to their room for you to be able to engage with them for 5 minutes. Then after that, we'll go ahead to do our funding announcement. So the funding announcement is under our Ennovate Venture Building Program. We have a bootstrapping fund where we actually continue to support some of the startups that come from the program. So our bootstrapping fund goes between $5,000 to $10,000, which actually helps these startups to kind of gain some traction, and they can now be able to become more investable. And we then connect them to VCs in our network for more for growth capital to be able to scale. So be able to do also our announcement in principle, which will depend now on the follow-on terms of agreements and due diligence and negotiation for us to be able to finalize those deals with the startups that we're going to invest in as Ennovate. And then we'll have a closing remark, and that will be it for today. We are going to now go ahead to kick off with about the program and the welcome note. So here, this is where I come in. So I'll introduce myself. I haven't done that. My name is Francis Omoroje, venture partner and lead for Ennovate Venture Building Program. So a bit of a background about Ennovate Venture Building Program. Our goal as the venture building focused fund is to be able to fill the gap where VCs are not currently looking at. So we're looking at companies that have founders that are very ambitious, founders that are underrepresented, founders that do not have currently a commercial traction to be able to validate what they are building or be able to attract the VCs. That is the gap that we're trying to close with our venture building focus fund. So how we're trying to do this is not just about going to hand in money to founders, but we want to really hold their hands. We want to really go the journey with them and support them at each step of the journey, from thinking through their products, thinking through how to get initial market, thinking through creating structures and systems that can help them really scale, and also connecting them to opportunities for fundraising. So these are like how our program is really structured. So last year we kicked off the venture building program, and this is the second cohort. With our venture building program, it gives us opportunity to really handpick very ambitious, very innovative founders that are really trying to change the narrative in the sector they are building. And we take in very few people because we want to be able to really engage them one-on-one, solve their problem on a founder-to-founder basis, on startup-to-startup basis. And we know that these companies are really busy people. They want to build something that's marketable. We know how difficult it is to run a startup. So our program is very tailor-made, trying to address the need of each of the startups. So for our venture building program, when for this cohort, we released the application in September last year, August, September last year, and we received about 370 applications across the continent. And it was a bit of a difficult one for us because we saw a lot of very interesting, amazing ideas that could really change narrative. But due to like the capacity and our intention to really support founders on a personal level, we selected 7 out of 370 plus applications. Our selection process is very simple. We're not looking at a lot of commercial metrics, but we're looking at the interest of the founder. We're looking at the sector they're working. We're looking at the opportunity for them to really scale. And also we're looking at businesses that can really that are not in a very green sector. We're looking at businesses that can really pick up immediately and be able to show traction really quickly, and be able to utilize our bootstrapping funds to be able to commercialize while they are able to attract follow-on VC funds. We also a bit more geography centric. We focus a lot on East Africa, although we actually took in other startups from Nigeria, which is going to also present here, 2 of them. So we're really excited about the whole mix of the startups in our program. You're going to hear from each of them. I'm really hoping, I'm looking forward to what I'm going to show you. And we finished our selection in October, and we actually had to pick the venture experts that supported them based on the needs we identified from engaging each of them on a personal level. So at the level where they are, where the startups are really trying to figure out what really works, trying to validate what they're building, trying to find the next opportunity to be able to prove concept. The challenges are very they are very, very critical and very personal at that level. So when we identify these challenges, we then went through our across Africa, look at who are the venture experts, probably have built companies before, they are supporting companies, startups right now. We engaged them, and they actually provided very personalized support, mentorship support, that really helped these startups to kind of rethink, restructure, and model their business. And we've been able to see, like, different growth areas that the startups are really experienced for the past 4 months in the program. And that's actually what the program is all about, helping them to see the changes, helping them to really think through and rethink what they are building, helping them to find the really proven, commercially viable models that they can really implement, looking at their team capacity, how they can be able to amplify their skill set to be able to build very scalable businesses. So these are the kind of things that they had opportunity to learn from the mentors. And we also had started connecting some of them to investments. A couple of them have had access to matching funds through the program. And today as well, we are going to be able to see that most of the impact funds, development partners that are here, VCs will be able to pick interest in some of them and be able to continue the conversation. That is what the platform is all about. So today is the day that we now get to showcase what these startups have been building. And before they come on board, we want to be able to have more like an ecosystem interaction. Want to really discuss in the next 30 minutes, discuss how can startups really build through the investor lens. So coming from the entrepreneur perspective, the way we think, the way we structure like our business, we are very product focused, trying to create impact, which is really important. But sometimes we kind of a bit not focus a lot on how do we become even investable, how do we attract the right investors, how do we even position our startup to be able to receive investment. So those are the kind of conversations we're going to have today on a panel session. But of course, I see a lot of ecosystem players, experts here, and we really want to make the conversation very open. So we will have the panelists to lead this, and after that, we're going to open up the session for the participants to be able to also share their views, especially for the ones that are investing from the VC, from development partner perspective and the likes. And these informations are very critical to the early stage startups that are here. There are a lot of them. Outside the ones speaking today, there are a lot of them also here listening. And this conversation is going to also help them to start, redesigning the architecture of their business so that they can be able to stand a chance to be able to receive growth funds that can help them scale their business. So we will just, I will call out the panelists as we're going to start this session. Just a minute, all right, I was getting one of the panelists having challenges to join the session. So we're going to just kick off with a panel session at the moment. So the topic of the session is building through the investor's lens. And the panelists that will be doing justice to this, I'm going to just introduce them, but they will maybe talk a bit about when they introduce themselves, the details, and we can be able to kick off the conversation. The first I will call is Gosbert Jagula. Yeah, so Gosbert is the co-founder of Startup Discovery School London. He's also investing in the climate sector in Africa. Also, he happens to be a Tanzanian. Gosbert. Yeah, so he's quite very passionate about the ecosystem, and also he's doing a lot of work across Africa. So he'll be able to share his perspective during the panel. We have Fadila Chomba. Fadila is the Secretary General of ABAN. ABAN is Africa Business Angel Network. She coordinates most of the angel networks across the continent and also creating sub-networks that are really driving, mobilizing local investment. And she actually also coordinates Catalyst Fund, which is already investing in 2 startups in Tanzania. I guess like Tanzania is one of the ecosystem that's really benefited a lot from the Catalyst Fund, having 2 startups already. So she'll be able to also, share with us about what she thinks about how startups can really structure up for commercial funds. And we have Martin Waroba, the managing partner at Waroba Ventures, which is our person here in Tanzania, already doing amazing work with local companies here and doing investments here. So he's going to be able to share from the lens of being a local investor, how does it look like, what is he looking at for, and all that. And like I mentioned, we're also going to open it up, the conversation to the audience. I see a lot of people already that on this call that are already doing a lot of investment in Africa, doing a lot of investment in Tanzania as commercial funds, as development partners. We also want to hear your view about what your thoughts are regarding startups developing or building for scale-up capital and the likes. So we are going to kick off the session right now, and I will basically give more like so I will officially welcome the panelists, Gosbag, Waroba, and Fadila. And like I already mentioned here, the topic is something that, cuts across board. From the investment perspective, from the startup perspective, is something that we really want to discuss and see where do we meet. There's been a lot of gaps in terms of like startups coming from innovation hubs and startups being able to receive investment or be at the face of investors. So how do we bring these 3 or 4 entities, ecosystem players together, the startups, the development partners who are playing a really key role in driving innovation and supporting local companies, the VCs and the startups. So how are we going to bring this merger, and what is the role of each of these players to ensure that startups are really structured up? The role, I come from the role of the venture hub. How do we even structure our programs that really make sense? It's most of the time from the venture perspective, the VCs only come in when you have to do demo day and all that. But I think VCs have to come in earlier when you're actually trying to structure the program so that it can really build upon what the VCs or development partners are looking out for. So I think, there are these kind of, players working in silos. How do we bring all of this effort together to really strengthen the investment environment across Africa? So that is what we'll be discussing today. So I will give it to the panelists. We'll go from Gosbert to Fadila and to Martin. What are your takes generally on how startups, on a general level, on a high level, how do we get startups to be investable? What do you look at for? What we like to see? What is the role of development partners, VCs, venture hubs, and entrepreneurs themselves to be able to reach that kind of fit where what we are looking at saying we're increasing the pipeline, we're increasing the number of quality deals from Africa, and also attracting investment. Goes back.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much for the introduction, and thank you for the question. It's a big question, which I don't think there's many one answers, but I guess there's 3 things when that is a global issue in terms of bridging that gap. Someone says there's lots of venture programs and lots of venture builders and accelerators in incubator. I think that's a good thing. Generally, I think you can never have enough. But in terms of bridging the gap, I think from my personal experience, firstly, there's what I would like to see is firstly knowledge, that not just a belief, but an understanding that founders in question have a distinct knowledge of their sector. And when it comes to knowledge, there's only several ways you can get it. Either you're educated in it, you're educated 2 ways really. You're educated in it, or you live through it through experience, or sometimes you blend both. So I think knowledge and evidence of that knowledge is important of any sector you're in. Because the question is always, especially early stage, if you're coming out of an incubator, an accelerator, why you, beyond the kind of technical business proposition, why are you the person to deliver that? So I think that's one. I think secondly, practicality of actually being in the marketplace. Now, granted, I can understand not all sectors you can get into the marketplace from day one. There are barriers, but as much as possible to prove that you've actually done the work, that your hands have actually, and there's always an asymmetry of information when it comes to investors, in the sense you know more than the investor as the founder. That is always the case. You know more, you know the sector more. But also, I think that's important to be practical. What have you done, and have clear evidence of that? And third, I'd say relationships, the ability to build relationships. When we talk about innovations emerging, what we're actually talking about is the ability to build relationships with those in the industry in which you're working. And again, you could benefit from being an insider already, so you already have those key relationships, or as a founder, you've built relationships. And when I say relationships are people who know far more than you and who are in the sector. So I think knowledge, practicality, and relationships. And I think just to add one point, we talk about practicality, that key word of traction, which we all dislike, which gets thrown around a lot. But traction, I guess how we can go into how we define that. But I think that's so important. Knowledge, practicality, and ultimately relationships. They're the things you're wanting to, well, in my opinion, wanting to see as any early stage investor.
Thank you very much, Guzman, for that. Fadila, what's your take on how do we bring all of these moving pieces together to be able to get more quality pipeline?
Hi, Francis. Thank you for having me here today with you. As you had mentioned earlier on, my name is Fadila Chumba, and I'm the Secretary General at the African Business Angel Network. So essentially, Francis, I think we can look at it from two angles. The first angle would be founder related, and I'm speaking purely from an investment perspective. As far as the founder related factors are, it all boils down to, number one, the quality of the business model, and of course, the problem that you're solving. I like to say, keep it simple and sweet. You don't need complex, we don't need to be building drones. We have simple issues that we need to solve. Water, related to water, education, healthcare, food, and so forth. I can name it. Across sector. So essentially, when you're looking at industry on the continent, you can actually figure out that we're still less than 5% across board. So anything that you create that generate value and that can create value, you will succeed. And also think about it like this. The companies that are emerging today versus those that emerged 20 years ago are the differentiator that we have is technology. And with technology, we have an emerging. So number one, the quality of concern, you're really looking at the profile of the founder and team. And when we talk about the profile of the founder, we're really looking at individuals who are very disciplined, who are dynamic, who understand things, and who have energy. So I will take an example. When you go to any innovation hub, they will say, well, what is one of the factors that you have to consider in a market is timing. You have to jump in the right time. The truth is you never know when is the right time. Some people are just very lucky. But an angel investor or an investor overall will look at the ability of the founder to navigate the time. They say you get in the market, and as soon as you hit the market, you realize that, oh no, this is not the right timing for me. What do? Do you close shop or do you readjust your model? An investor will expect a founder to be able to readjust his model, readjust his strategy, and pick up and move. That's what I call being dynamic. So as far as founder related are concerned, factors, these are the two that I would like to highlight. Now, there are other factors that are ecosystem related. The number one is an existing pool of angel investors. There are key stakeholders that are very important in making an ecosystem dynamic. And you all know the stakeholder or the key stakeholders. Of course, we need a mature pool of startups. We need innovation hubs to provide capacity building. And you also need angel investors to become or to be the first investors in your ecosystem, because that's where the startup will be turning to in need for capital. And you have to be very aware that when we're talking about startup, bank is not actually your option. So don't waste time going to banks and complaining that banks are not financing startup. So the founder must understand where to go to when it comes to raising capital to support his venture, right? The angel investor and the pool of existing angel investor must be significant. If you look at, for example, Tanzania, 5 years ago, what Tanzania was producing is far back from what we're seeing today. In fact, I'm very proud of the result that Tanzania has generated over the past 5 years. You have seen an emergence of a new generation of angel investors that have the risk appetite, and they are willing to take the risk in those ventures. But you have also seen the new generation of capacity builders like Ennovate Ventures that is out there trying to transfer knowledge and build the startup and the founders that are willing to contribute into solving issues related to the country and, of course, or outside Tanzania. And of course, you can talk about structural issues such as policy that affects the ability of a startup of actually obtaining all the necessary, I would say, licensing that will allow and facilitate the operation. And even beyond that, you also have, when we talk about policy, you're also talking about the legal framework. What kind of legal framework exists within that ecosystem that will facilitate the coexistence of those key players, the founders, the startups, the startup founders, the innovation hub, and the angel investors? I'm just going to stop here and just hear from Martin. I see that Martin has appeared.
Yeah, thank you very much, Fadila. So, Martin, we're just talking about, on a general perspective, how do we build investable pipeline of startups in Tanzania and across Africa? I'm looking at from the point of being an angel investor, what are your takes on general level? You're on mute if you're speaking.
Thanks, Francis, for having me, and glad to be here with Fadila and Ghostparty in this Ennovate Deal Day. Congratulations to you and your team and all the startups. I think you're listening to Ghostparty and Fadila, most of the things that we look at, they've kind of touched upon, but I'll just summarize a few from our angle. One, we look at the current startup makeup, which means we look at the team and their ability, their understanding of the problem, and their knowledge as individuals. We look at if they've got a product and if the product has got traction. So to us, that's critical because it shows, one, they understand. At very early stage, we also understand that there's going to be a lot of tricks and navigation around the implementation. But do we have the right people who understand the area, they have the knowledge, and they can figure out the product and can figure out if it works or it doesn't work. The second part that we look at, it's around business model. And not only what it's doing today, but what's the potential on that business model to be extended? Can it capture a different use case? Can we change certain things on that business model? And that is a critical part for us. The third piece, I'll say scalability and impact. So scalability, can you scale beyond, we are based in Tanzania, so can you scale beyond Tanzania, reach East Africa and go to Africa and be a global startup? That mentality, it's very key to us from the very beginning because it actually affects how you look at your product and how you develop and build your product, and also the impact. So we want and or we like to work with the products and startups that are actually touching the environment where we are, the sectors that have had or will have more impact in solving the challenges that are around us. And I think that's critical because we talk about startups, we talk about the opportunity on growing economic base, employment, and all these other things. And it will only impact is very key in making sure we look at agriculture, education, healthcare, financial services, transport, mobility, logistics, and things like that. So I'll stop there for now.
All right, thank you very much, Martin, for that. So we'll quickly move to another to the question for Fadila. From your perspective, looking at different deals on the ABAN level, what do you think are the barriers that are hindering startups from accessing very early stage funds? What are the maybe top 2-3 things that you feel like these are the main barriers that are really, stopping these early stage companies from, accessing maybe local angel networks or early stage funds that are available there?
But first of all, Francis, I would like to start by sharing with the audience what ABAN stands for. ABAN was created in 2015, and our main goal and our vision and our drive has always been to build a generation of angel investors across the continent who have the appetite in supporting innovators, founders, startups, however you want to call it, by providing capital, mentorship, and networking, because these are the only ingredient that can actually, one of the most critical ingredient that will push the startup from early stage to seed stage and then Series A and move forward. And over these years, when we started talking about angel investing on the continent, we're just at around 150 million that companies were attracted on the continent in Africa. That's 2015. In 2022, we were able to attract a little bit over $4 billion. And out of those $4 billion, there was $400 million that could be accounted as angels' contribution towards building startup ecosystem on the continent. What does that imply? It implies that over the years, that Africans have become more aware of the creators of new values. And then with the pool of angels that ABAN has trained over the years, they have become also disciplined and have also become more aware of the risk that exists in angel investing, and they now have a better appreciation of it. And today you have also angel investors that are consistently investing and that they're doing it professionally. Now, I must admit that the whole continent, we're talking about 54 countries. And within 54 countries, you have a different maturity level in terms of the market size, in terms of the ecosystem dynamics, in terms of the legal framework that can facilitate the engagement of the stakeholders. Now, if you're sitting from a startup perspective, number one that you must think about is, who are the stakeholders within our own ecosystem that can provide support in building my venture? In terms of capacity building, you have innovation hubs. And within those innovation hubs, there are now specialized innovation hubs, which means that they are innovation hubs that are deliberately focusing on specific thematic. So if you go to Ennovate Ventures to learn how to build drone, they might not help you because they don't know. You must find out what they're good at. And the same principle will apply for angel networks, right? On this continent today, there are 65 angel networks in more than 34 African countries. And in Tanzania, we have 2 very active angel networks. The Wahiyoba ventures that is actively investing and supporting innovation, innovators and founders. And you also have Serengeti that is also working, that is investing, actively investing in supporting those ventures. So you must know who they are. And once you know who they are, you must find out what is the investment thesis. Because some of these angel network are very specific too. They're very sector focused. Some of them are just sector agnostic. You know, they will accept everything that goes to. And when you understand the investment thesis, you will better position yourself and you will stop wasting time for yourself. Because as a founder, you can be going around sending 20 emails per day, never getting a response and wondering why people are not responding to you, simply because you're knocking at the wrong door, right? You must know the stakeholder and know what they're able to bring on the table for yourself and what you're also bringing to them. I think that would facilitate the connection. And of course, apart from that, there are other support systems that exist. They might be outside your local ecosystem that you can definitely tap into. So essentially, this all boils down to know where the informations are. Find out from those hubs, talk to them, engage them. Go to Martin, talk to him, request for a meeting. Let him help you because he has more data about how the ecosystem functions and what you can get out of it. And of course, there's one thing that I would like to highlight, that any ecosystem that grows, it depends highly on how dynamic its stakeholders are. There's no way John Smith from New York will go and invest in Tanzania if Martin did not put the money in Tanzania. Because now Martin would have happened to have gone to school with John Smith. That's how it works. Money follows money. So for us to build a stronger ecosystem, for us to attract more capital, we have to make sure that the local stakeholders are playing a significant role. And they're also contributing in the whole process of building these founders. From the innovation hub, by making sure that they're building the right capacity for these founders, from investors, making sure that they're taking the risk, because by taking the risk, it becomes a vote of confidence for others to follow. And another advantage that you have is that Tanzania has become so dynamic, it's attracting a lot of attention to a point whereby with a network of A-bands networks, of 65 networks, the moment that Serengeti and Wariobo Ventures have put the money into a business in Tanzania, Martin can easily call on Lagos Angel Network and say, I have a deal on the table. They will trust Martin. You as a founder, they might not trust you, they don't know you. So really leverage on the resources that you have. And Tanzania is a very special place on the continent. And today, we're all looking at what's happening in Tanzania, although very small, but we believe in this potential to create value and for that value to be exported outside the local economy.
Thank you very much, Fadila, for that. For the startups that are here as well, you've heard from Fadila, one of the biggest ways to be able to unlock investment is first getting de-risked by a local angel network or a VC. That kind of puts a bit of a confidence for foreign VCs, international VCs to come in and say, yeah, somebody has put in money locally because they have the whole local reality idea about what you're building. So one of the things is, look for who is investing locally, the venture hubs, the LSC VCs, the angel networks, and speak to them, understand how they invest, what opportunities are there for you, and that would be one of the quickest way to start unlocking investment. So I'll give it to Warioba. Warioba that is already actively investing in Tanzania. I'm sure every other day you receive deals locally or outside Tanzania. Can you maybe tell us and also other startups here, what are the top 3 things that maybe in the first 1 minute when you look at a deck or you speak to a founder, what are the top 3 things you want to identify that can give the second meeting or is a no for you?
So thanks, Francis. I think, as I said earlier, we look at the team and the makeup of the team. Do you understand the problem? Can you articulate very well how you go about it? We look at the product. It doesn't have to be perfect, but does it address what you're talking about? And does it have traction based on what you've tried to look at it? Business model is key because obviously you want to grow your business, you want to scale. Is it the right business model? Can it be fixed? Can it be expanded? Those are the key. And then very quickly, I think they've all touched upon scalability impact, as I said earlier. Can you scale? And we want you to think big, not come in and say, I'm only solving a problem for Dar es Salaam. Can you actually be a global startup that can attract investment not only from Tanzania, but from outside? And can you actually leave impact? I think impact is very key for us in terms of who are you touching, what problem are you solving, and how is that leaving our country, our continent a better place going forward. So I think to us, those are very key. Once you hit those, we can start having further discussion.
All right, thank you, Martin. I'm sure, like, the startups that are here, especially in Tanzania, these are the words from someone that is already investing in Tanzania. So I think it's important you just take the notes so that when you are thinking through your business, you're trying to build, especially for the ones that want to raise commercial funds, you want to look at, how is your team structured? Do you have the right skills, competencies to be able to drive that kind of product? Can you compete in that industry? Do you have a viable model? Do you have initial traction to even show that people can buy? So these are the things that early stage investors don't ask for a lot of things. It's very basic things. So I think it's something that startups, when you start designing implementation, these are the key things you want to look at. How do you find the right team? How do you get even initial tractions to show that people really need what you're building? How do you structure a business model that is scalable? So you don't want to say, I'm targeting only Dar es Salaam, and that's not commercial. Nobody want to give you money for that. So you want to, look at all of these very key foundational aspect of your business. That is something that angels are really interested. The rest of the things, angel investors can really help you structure it out and, build upon that. So I'm just kind of hammering this for people that are here that are trying to build in Tanzania. So the key things that if you go to a hub, tell them these are the things I want to improve. Be very strict. Don't go and go to their program, whatever they've designed, that might not work for you. You have the key 3-4 things that you want. Tell them these are areas I need support. Can you help me? Do you have the resources to do that? Get those things you need, go raise investment and be able to scale. So that is that's the words from Marioba. From Gosberg, you sit in London, looking at things in Africa and also, also looking at deals in Africa, being also a Tanzania descendant. What do you think from the deals you reviewed or what you are investing in climate space? What are the things you feel like African startups are doing right that we need to amplify, either as development partners, either as venture hubs or startups? What are the key things that you feel, startups are really doing well currently, or the ecosystem is doing well currently that we need to be able to improve on?
Yeah, sure. So it's a really good question. It's a really good view. Just a few months ago, I got a chance to go to San Francisco, which is, people say it's the center of the startup world, right? If you're anyone, you need to be there. Well, that's what they say. And it's interesting meeting a lot of African founders who've entered like YC, the YC program. And, primarily, the effort to get to YC only takes 1% of all African founders. And that's not really scalable if we all want to benefit. But it was interesting to know motivation. So I asked, why California? Why here? And their answer was, valuations. This is something we can leverage moving forward. So in terms of good things that are happening, I don't necessarily think that's necessarily the wisest pathway. But definitely in terms of ingenuity and dynamism, I would say that's definitely coming a lot from African founders. Now, as an early stage investor, I invest Pan-Africa. I see a lot of deals in the climate space. I think things that I'm seeing that have done well. First of all, let's start with the good things that we're definitely seeing. Dynamism of business models. To shout a few, we've got Waga, for example, in the cohort today. great example of a renewable energy focused business, which is adapted uniquely to the needs of Tanzania. That is not a business model which necessarily I'd see from a lot of European startups. So I think a lot of African startups are really kind of doubling down on their unique challenges that they're facing and turning them into commercial opportunities. Secondly, another one I saw recently, Scrap Pays out of Nigeria, looking at waste management and recycling in an ingenious way. And I thought that was very interesting. Now, in terms of kind of challenges and things that perhaps could be done better, I wouldn't say it's a lack, but more so an awareness of the opportunity. Firstly, I'd say scale and ambition, and this picks up on something which Martin mentioned earlier. Scale, how big is the business? I think when dealing with mainstream venture capital, there needs to be an awareness of how much or how big an opportunity really is. So I think that's important. It can't be a business which is just focused on Dar es Salaam or Wanza or anywhere. It has to be global. Typically, when you're dealing with venture capital, you're dealing with businesses that have to be global. Secondly, I would almost say maybe to understand, maybe we'll explore alternative routes. I'm really in awe of the work that ABAN have done through the African Business Angel Network. They've been around for years and they put in hard work. So leveraging local relationships and local funding pots, which are on the ground already. And I think and also international funding pots. Right now, for example, the UK has a big Africa fund, Ennovate UK RI, and they're looking for Africa-based businesses to benefit from that program. Not highlighted at all, but definitely seeing huge opportunity for alternative grant funding on the African continent. So just to kind of recap, I think doubling down on the unique challenges, we see a lot of decks out of Pan-Africa, which are unique business models, which are adapted to the local environment. Secondly, scale. How big is the business? It's okay that not every business needs to be venture backable. And thirdly, really exploiting international funding pots, which are available and growing. And I'm happy to share those opportunities. So there are three things which I think could be done better from the deals that we're seeing. And I pass the mic back.
Thank you very much, Gosba, for that. You mentioned you're very keen on climate. You mentioned biogas. Yeah, so I mean, you can connect with them later on if you feel like it's something that you want to explore further. Yeah, so that is from the level. I think we have to kind of build upon like the success stories you have. Look at what models are really scaling. How can startups be able to adapt to that? And how do we start even building more in proven spaces? And that could really help to be able to help make like investors kind of want to invest really quickly, maybe in their own sector as well. Also, I would like to maybe just add something before we move on. Is I think Warioba or Fadila said something like that. How do startups not go everywhere to look for investment? You have to actually kind of identify who is investing in your space, who is investing in your sector, who is investing at your stage, so that you can be able to know where to focus your energy and your strength. Because if maybe you are pre-seed, you are talking to a VC that is in Series A, you are almost wasting your time. So you have to kind of first do your research, understand key things in terms of investment, the stage, the geography, location, the sector they're investing in, and all that. So these are the things that you want to look at to make sure that you are talking to the right person and you are able to build a very relatable relationship with them. So the last round of questions, I'll ask Fadila, how do you think early stage startups in Africa can be able to really solve the current barriers that is stopping them from accessing investment? It could be from local VCs or even outside the continent.
Yeah, that's a big question. That's a very big question.
Summary,
so,
1 point.
So I'm going to talk about, from our perspective, what we're doing to facilitate the job, your job as founders. So, but before going there, I want to tell that the founders, the reason why we're doing this work that we're doing, to all the stakeholders here represented on the panel, from Jagula to Martin, and then you have Francis and myself, is because we believe in you. We believe that you're the next value creators. And there are a lot of people that are not connected to this new form of value creation. So do not get confused. It's fine. They will wake up one day and it might be too late. So we believe in you, and we know the value that you're able to create with the solution that you're creating on this continent. So, and now to move forward is we have been working extremely hard with our partners across the continent to really make sure that the environment is as accessible as possible for the founders. For example, when I look at Tanzania, when I discuss with Martin and Serengeti, we talk about what are the legal framework that are needed for founders to close deals. You know, if you look at the legal documentation, it's extremely hard. The 2 transactions that we closed, even at a very, very early stage in Tanzania, was a long process, and there was a lot of back and forth. So we need to really find solution to this barrier, making sure that the government or policymakers incorporate these challenges and facilitate for those stakeholders that are operating within Tanzania. And when I talk about this, I will give an example. Can we build an equivalent of a SAFE, a simplified agreement for future equity that is legally compliant for Tanzanian stakeholders? I'm sure it's possible. So let's do it. And let's call on the policymakers to participate in this whole process, because this is what will facilitate the whole process, right? That's the beginning. And number 2, can there be any incentive locally to help startup funders lower the cost of operation at the early stage of the businesses? That's something that we need to address. Now, what roles would DFI plays that are operating within Tanzania? Can they create a pool of a matching fund for Tanzania-specific founders? What I mean is this. Under the Catalytic Africa Matching Fund, to date, we have done two transactions in Tanzania, but we have actually received more than 2. And we had to select the best. But I'm sure that we need to give the opportunity to everyone in Tanzania. If we're able to raise capital under Catalytic Africa that will create a pool for Tanzanian startup, that would be a plus. In that case, we're going to activate and incentivize Martin with Wayobo Ventures and Serengeti and other early stage network to invest into you, because this is actually the best pathway. They will invest into you, and that will trigger additional capital for you to build your companies. That's number 3. And I think if we're able to find solution for these 3 challenges, I think Tanzania will be well positioned to create a beautiful, beautiful solution that will be exported outside. Without that, it will just slow the process. It will take a longer time. And in the process, actors that are very dynamic now can get actually frustrated, tired, and probably move to other markets. And that would be a loss for the country. So for me, it's really around making sure that from ABAN perspective, we're able to support the Tanzanian ecosystem to build and strengthen that ecosystem in such a way that we can create a true, mature ecosystem that will build ventures that are solving issues. And I'm sure it's possible. When I've seen Francis, I worked with Martin before, and I admire the energy, the willingness to actually do this work, because we believe in it, right? So I think that's where I will focus on, Francis, making sure that I can tell you what we're doing and what we would like to improve on from where we started,
Thank you very much, Fadila. I mean, I think that's been a lot of conversation in the ecosystem. And I'm sure, a couple of people are doing something around the legal frameworks, like TSA is doing a lot of work around legal framework. And also with the matching funds, we have also Joseph from Fungo UNDP is here as well. They are already kind of invested in about 26 startups in their first cohort, and these are trying to get them to become more investment ready. So I think these are like some of the initiatives that we need to kind of be able to replicate and see how do we really kind of get most of the impact fund as well to be able to follow more of a sustainable model to invest in the company. So these are conversations going on, and of course we're very excited to see some kind of legal frameworks, regulatory tweaks here and there, which is, really shaping up like how startups are really structured and scaling in Tanzania. So hopefully in the coming year, probably we'll be able to have like startup acts, and that could really open up a lot of things. I'll give it to Warioba. What do you think? What do you think is the role of early stage VCs or angel networks to really build a pipeline of investable startups? Like I mentioned the first time, the relationship between startup and investors are only when the startup send a deck to the investor says, no, you don't fit, and all that, or the venture hubs or innovation hubs are on a different level, on a different in a silos. Creating programs probably do not really align with what VCs are looking for. So I just really wanted to kind of maybe, what do you think would be the role of angel networks, angel investors, early stage VCs in actually going down there to support very early stage companies to become investment ready?
So thanks, Francis. I think if I had to use two words, one would be anchor, the second one is credibility, and I think both Gospart and Fadila have kind of touched upon that. Why anchor? And I'll give you real example from the deals that we've done. Our ability to just invest in that early stage startup. I think about it as a food chain in Ngorongoro, Serengeti, right? The lion hunts, eats, leaves, then the hyenas come, then the eagles come, right? So before the PE and the larger VCs come into a deal, the micro VCs comes into a deal, the angel investors should be that lead anchor to show them this is the right place to go. I think Fadila mentioned, somebody sitting in New York doesn't understand Tanzania very well. And you have a right product, a good idea, you're pitching it to somebody who doesn't understand your local environment very well, they turn around and say, this doesn't work. But while the reality is this is a problem, not only in Tanzania, it might be a problem across Africa, and it can be scalable. So angel investor do provide that lead to all these other investors, whether they're in Tanzania or outside. On top of that, for example, ourselves, we are sector agnostic, but we love technology products. So there is also a lot of people in Tanzania who might want to invest, but they don't understand technology very well. But because we invest for equity and we take that risk, it shows them that, okay, you've put in your money, you've taken the risk, so I can follow you and do the same. And then I think we provide credibility, and I think this credibility comes in two ways. One, it's what Fadila was talking about on matching grants. We love impact funders with matching grants because their KPIs are aligned with the scalability and the business models. They will only fund if you've actually raised or if you're meeting certain KPIs. And I think us going in provide that credibility for them to come in. So whether it's Catalytic Africa or whether it's any other fund that has impact funders behind it, and also to the equity investors on the deals that we have worked on. There's a number of VC funds who have been working on to close that round, and simply it's because the angels have done a deal on the same. So I think that anchor and credibility, it's a very important role, and we are happy to play that role.
All right, thank you very much, Wariba, for that. So we will take, after now, we'll just take about 5 contributions or comments or questions. We already have 1 or 2 questions, so we'll need about 3 contributions or comments. So if you want to comment or contribute, please, you can wave using the icon or tell us in the chat so that we can bring you up really quickly because of time. So we'll go ahead with Gospart. So Gospart, I want you to kind of answer one of the questions they're asking there. Something. How will end investors? I'm trying to rephrase the question there. How will you be able to become more visible to startups? because most of the questions that startups always ask, especially maybe there's one already in the chat box, is asking in terms of like, what are your investment philosophies? What do I have to do to be able to attract your investment, and all that? I think these questions keep coming up every time because investors are a bit kind of distant from the startup themselves and communities. So how do you think, or what do you think investors should do to become more visible to startups, and how do you think startups need to build relationships to be able to get this kind of information that they can use to work to build their business to become investable?
Yeah, no, of course. I think from the investor side, there's a first step, which is to get more involved. Now, obviously, with the work ABAN are doing and many others, is that hopefully we're changing who an investor is. So I think there's that in terms of involvement. So spending more time on the ground in the ecosystem, definitely from what we see. And there's even someone in the room who I actually did a course with, and it made me laugh because the course taught everything about venture capital, but it didn't necessarily focus on the African perspective. It was very much, seed, series A, B, C. And then I think someone actually asked, not many startups where I'm from take this journey, and they didn't really have an answer. So I think firstly, it's about investors recognizing, firstly, getting involved, spending more time on the ground. It's a great opportunity to learn, and it's a two-way exchange. But in terms of maybe programs and maybe founders being more investable, that's a question which always comes up. And I think you have to know who your audience is. So I think it's recognizing who is your audience, like who are you looking for? What's the scale you're looking for? What levels of growth are you looking for? That's an important question. That's an honest question you have to ask yourself, because I think to connect with angels, maybe you're connecting more about you individually, someone who believes in your mission, someone who believes you can deliver. Once you get above angel investors, you're then dealing with the rules, the global rules of capital. And if you're going to talk to any VC, they themselves have to answer to their LPs. So they have to go back at the end of the day, and it isn't their money. They promised returns to their investors. So I think an awareness of the type of returns that they have promised, and you could do the simple maths to work it out. Let's say 10, 15, 20x. That's what they need to return. So your ambition needs to match that. Now I realize in the African context, there are cultural and linguistic differences between the 54 countries, which mean that you're not easily going to say, I'm going to go Pan-Africa, which is, I think that's fine. But I think it's having a clarity on the type of numbers that you need to hit in order to justify your investors. You're knowing your investors. Your angel investors maybe love who you are, your mission, the problem you're tackling. But once you get above your angels, what are the kind of expectations? And I think that's perhaps an honest conversation all founders can have, to ask yourself, how big is this business truly? If you're in Ethiopia, you've got 100 million people. If you're in Cape Verde, you've got 500,000. If you're in Mauritius, you've got less than that. How big is your business? And I think that's a good question to ask. I met founders from Mauritius Seychelles 2 days ago. I was like, wow, how many people are in Seychelles? And for them, everything is about export in the Seychelles. There is no Seychellois, I believe that's what they call it. You refer to them as yeah, there's a limited domestic market, and they acknowledge that. But that's why they were touring London and going to Paris to look for international opportunities. So for the founders, definitely realizing how big the opportunity is, and that will dictate the type of investors that you're seeking to connect with. I know, Francis, you mentioned about chasing investors and wanting to look attractive. I think there's an honest conversation founders can have.
Thank you very much.
For that. I think that's a good point there. And to just add on that, I think even for us angels, what Gosport is saying is very critical, because when you invest for equity, at some point you need to recoup your investment. And that investment for us, we always tend to look at what the larger VCs are also looking at. So that connection, it's very critical, because we need to pass you over to somebody else for the next funding. And if we don't get it right at the beginning, we'll be stuck with you. And so whatever Gosport is saying is critical. Pan-Africa challenges are there, but you need to look at how you can scale and how we can move on.
Yeah, so that's very insightful. I think from early stage to growth stage companies, or VCs and investors, I think it's just the same. I'm like, what worry about that? The food chain. So even angel investors, when they're investing, they're looking at what is the trend. Where are VCs in Series A, Series B putting money and all that. So that actually kind of informs as well angel investors, this is where you want to put in money and all that. I agree, Gosberg, about that. And that's also something that I also most of the time mention to some of the startups I come across. When you are building as well, you have to also look at, what is the size of the market. I always tell people, startups that are trying to raise commercial funds, in terms of like, what are you looking at? You are looking at a ticket size of 100K or a 200K. So if you are going to a VC that maybe their fund size is $10 million or something, the whole idea for the VC is that they want a startup, one or two startups to return all the fund size. So if they are giving you a 200K, they are looking at you bringing in 5 million or 10 million, as case may be. So as a startup, when you are going to meet a VC, first of all, look at what is their total fund size. Also look at, can your business be able to return even half of that fund size? If no, then I don't think those are the VCs you want to talk to, because every VC, for every investment they make, in their mind, that startup is supposed to bring at least maybe half of the total fund size. So you have to be able to clearly tell a VC, how do you think your business can return times 10, times 20 of that investment? That should be like some, you should have that comments, you should have, that market metrics and all of that. If you just maybe talk about, the idea and all that, it wouldn't buy even, VCs, or even buy angels as well. So it's very critical that when you are going to look for investors, don't just go blindly. Look at also where are they investing, what are the ticket sizes, can you be able to return half of their total funds? So when the VC is giving you 200K, they're not expecting 200K from you, no. They are expecting like 2 million, 4 million. So if in the next 3 years, you cannot be your financial modeling, your business plan, your business forecast cannot return that VC 2 million, don't even bother going there. And these are something that you need to really speak about when you start talking to these VCs. So that's some of the things that I really wanted to also share with the startups. So we will have like just 2 minutes before we move to the next session. We're not taking questions and comments. We'll have 2 minutes to do that. We have one question. The first one has already been answered by Gosbert. We have another question from Sarah. She's asking, from an investor perspective, what informs patient versus inpatient money? I don't know who wants to take that. Maybe Gosbert want to take that. So before Gosbert comes on board, if you want to ask a question or you want to contribute, you can just maybe say in the chat or wave with the icon, and I'll be able to bring you up in the next 2 minutes. So we have the first question to Gosbert: what informs a patient versus inpatient money?
So I can go first, Francis.
Great. Thank you very much, Fadila.
So you really want to look at it as the vehicle that are used to actually finance transactions, right? Usually patients' money falls on the equity, right? And on the equity now you have multiple stakeholders across the value chain. I can tell you for sure that an angel investor is a very patient money. A venture capitalist is patient money. Why? I think Chagula had mentioned it earlier on, saying that you have to distinguish between a startup and an SMEs. A lot of people are building SMEs and they think they are startups. Essentially, the difference is around the growth pattern. A startup can scale. And when an angel investor puts his money into the startup, his goal is to achieve traction. The traction that will be achieved, the company might not even be profitable, but the size of his clientele can actually indicate a growth pattern that will show that that company will scale. So you can move from 100 clients to 10 million clients in a space of 2 years or 3 years. That's a startup. They have an exponential scalability ability. Now, in SMEs, it's just a company that can grow. You will never go above 50% growth rate. It's not possible. You vary between 5 to 10. If you do very well, you probably 20. Or you can go and do government contracts. That's an SME. You can never be, you can be a billionaire if you steal, yes, it's possible. But when we're talking about startup, we're really talking about, you really want to understand, are you building a startup or you're building an SME, right? And when you're building a startup with the potential to grow very fast, an angel investor will be able to see that, and they will have the patience to invest the money in, because the exit window varies between 5 to 7 years, at least on the continent. In some other places of the world, it can be less than that. But so far on the continent, we're seeing between 5 to 7 years or even 10 years, which means that when they put in the capital, they're willing to wait 5 years or 7 years to exit in case you actually succeed in the whole process of building your venture. So that's patient capital, the kind of capital that somebody will put in, and there's a high possibility of actually losing that money. Now, on patient capital, now you can look at it as debt. When you go to a bank will say, you know what, we're going to give you a loan of this amount, that's the interest rate, and you have this amount of money to actually repay that capital. To me, I think that these are the fundamental differences. The type of capital, how much time it takes to repay, and the guarantee that you also have to provide. Note, angel investor, they're betting on what they see. In fact, what they imagine can happen with a slight indication of what you have achieved so far, which is not even a true picture of what you can achieve. They believe in you. So the risk of losing the capital is actually 100%. And to me, these are the fundamental differences between the patient and non-patient capital. And depending on what business you're building, you really want to focus on who to talk to, whether they're patient capital or non-patient, right?
Thank you very much, Fadila, for answering that. We just have maybe the last question. Somebody's asking about legal instruments. He's asking anyone from the panel if they can be able to kind of explain what advanced subscription agreement looks like, especially maybe in local context. I don't know if any panelists want to maybe explain what that instrument looks like, advanced subscription agreement.
So Gosford can help me here, because I think
sure.
in UK they use it a lot more. But to me, it's more like a safe document. And as Fadila said, the legal framework in Tanzania, when it comes to actually doing the investment, is not there. So personally, we've been talking to Central Bank, we've been talking to Capital Market and Security Authority on how we can work together with other stakeholders in Tanzania. I know both Tanzania Startup Association and other guys are also looking at the same, just to see how we can put the instrument to work on the local environment. So there is a need to localize these instruments. I think it makes much more sense. In our case, we have used safe documents in our investments in Tanzania. Try to localize as much as possible. But what it essentially does, it's a very quick way of reaching an agreement, allowing the startup to access the funds right away without wasting too much money, without wasting too much time. And then the agreement basically allows us, upon reaching certain targets, to convert our funding into equity. So I think the difference is some investors will come in and do direct equity deal right away. Some will say we want to do safe because it's early stage. We give you targets. If you reach these targets, then our investment converts to equity.
Yeah, Martin's pretty much explained it. I think from UK context, I've seen this widely used in a lot of kind of deep tech companies, or companies where there is a significant delay in terms of reaching market, or even in areas where there simply isn't infrastructure or local angel investment. So, in certain regions in the UK and Europe, where are they like angels? I've seen the use of ASAs. Obviously, it's basically an agreement to buy shares on the company at a future date. Obviously, investors normally will ensure a discount. So they'll get a discount on the qualifying round. So you have to define when that qualifying round will take place, how much will need to be raised in order to activate the ASA. Advantages are for founders, you get the cash up front, fairly easy to negotiate. I find the tricky thing when it comes to ASAs, in my experience, has been that there always is a negotiation, and you may not be negotiating from the strongest position, especially if an investor, depending on who the investor is, knows that you're on the lookout for cash. And it can also put off future investors coming into the round, because ultimately they're not benefiting from the discount. And there can also be issues of founder dilution, perhaps unconsidered issues. I've seen a few messy cap tables where founders perhaps haven't had those conversations up front, and it causes problems as investors come in later on. Quite common from what I've seen in the deep tech, climate, and energy early stage ecosystem.
Thank you very much, Martin and Gosbert, for that. Just 20 seconds closing comments from the panelists, then we'll move straight to the pitching session. So just get Fadila to give like 30 seconds closing remark, then Martin and Gosbert, then we'll just head into the pitching session. Fadila?
Hello, Francis. It's raining here.
Okay. Yeah, I was asking to have like a round-up, 30 seconds round-up comments from you. Then we'll go to Martin and then Gosbert.
Well, thank you so much, Francis, for inviting ABAN. And it's a great privilege to share this platform with Chugula and Martin. And it's a real pleasure. And I can't wait to actually work with you and working towards really supporting the Tanzanian startup ecosystem. And I would like to let the founders here listening to us today that we are here, right? If you do have any question related to Catalytic Africa, related to ABAN, we will always be available to direct you or provide any necessary information. And just keep in mind that we have just found new thematic, let's say sector-specific thematic network. So these are new specialized network that will deliberately invest in 4 different sectors: climate smart agriculture, digital trade, smart cities, and clean technology. If you're a founder listening today and you fall within these 4 thematic, get in contact with us and we'll be able to share your profile with a number of angel investors that are now actively investing in those thematic on the continent. Thank you very much. And I wish you a wonderful evening.
Thank you very much, Fadila, for that. Just to give a context, Fadila also leads the Catalytic Fund. So Catalytic Fund has invested, I've done 2 transactions in Tanzania, to Sumet and also to Bonani, which you also, today you hear from one of them during the pitch session. So thank you very much, Fadila, for the support of the ecosystem, and we're looking forward to continuing the relationship. Martin?
So again, thank you for inviting us. For us, I just want to say, angel investing, it's a marathon. We understand that. So for that reason, we'll be here for a long time. We believe in partnerships, and we are happy to work with all stakeholders into the ecosystem on that. We run our accelerator program, which both Kononi and Waga are also part of it. And we have our angel investor network, which is growing, and it has an appetite for Tanzania innovation. So we dedicated the first 2 years to look at 1, Tanzania startups that wants to scale out of Tanzania. And second, even if when we invest into other country startups, we want to invest into other country startups that want to expand to Tanzania. And I think at least we will keep doing that for the next year. So happy to work with all of you. Our Forward Accelerator cohort for this year, it's running, but for when we announce the applications for next year, feel free to drop in. Otherwise, we are constantly available, even outside the accelerator. Reach out to us, and we are happy to work with all of you.
Thank you very much, Martin, and good luck.
Yeah, I'll just say huge encouragement to everyone who's taken part in the programs. I know obviously Francis and many others are building quite a formidable ecosystem. I would definitely say just to encourage that to double down really on your ideas, to really double down on the unique circumstances and the unique environments that you operate in. Sometimes there can be an energy to rush to be like others. And I think to really kind of double down on, your experience, the market, and the unwritten things about wherever you be in Tanzania, Kenya, or even beyond, how things work. And I think to solidify your knowledge, but also to have confidence in it. Often investors are looking upon you to be the expert to lead. And I'll just encourage everyone to definitely lead. I don't want to steal the show, but I can see there's a last minute question, which says, would you recommend to reach out to an angel once investment ready or even in an ideation phase in order to create a connection? That's a good question. That is a very good question. It's just in my opinion, I think you can entertain early conversations. What you don't want to be doing is pitching too early. I would definitely recommend to pitch when you've got some evidence that basically you've done something or taken some solid steps. Obviously, there are differences depending on your sector, but just remember, angels get pitched all the time, especially at idea stage. So definitely take an insight, something that you've done, something you can take that I've done this, what do you think? I think primarily, I guess when dealing with angel investors, your relationship building, may not invest now, they maybe invest in a year when they see you again. They're also going to ask Francis, have you seen this startup before? So definitely, I would go with something solid, not necessarily being ready. Thank you
very much. Good luck for responding to that question. I'm really excited about that. And we'll just head into quickly to the pitch session. I want everyone to really get excited about it, to listen to the startup speech. And one thing I want us to know is each of the startups have their breakout rooms. So after the pitching session, they're going to be in their breakout room for like 5 minutes or so. So as they are pitching, if you're interested to want to discuss with any of them, or maybe have a different question, or you want to find a way to connect with them to start building relationships, as case may be, you can just maybe inform us through the chat box, and we'll be able to add you to their breakout space, where you get to talk to them after their pitching. So I really want us to participate fully in this aspect. So the pitching agenda, we're going to have Peshiga to start. So they have roughly about 3 minutes each to be able to pitch. The first is Peshiga, then Peshiga from Nigeria, UK. We have Sema from Kenya, we have Damokononi, we have Tayari, Lima, Smart Darasa, and Rabbit. So that's the flow. And we're going to have just about 3 minutes each to be able to share with us what they're doing and what are they expecting from the audience. So we will go straight up now to bring up Peshiga. Peshiga?
Yeah. Hi, Francis. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Good evening. I'm Oseni Oluwatobi. I lead the team here at Peshiga. A little bit about myself. Over the last decade, I've worked on driving emerging technologies in Africa. Worked with a few Fortune 500s, including an international NGO, the United Nations. And what Peshiga really is about solving 2 key problems, and one of them is remittance and also access to FI. So what Peshiga is a new banking solution for migrants, and what we hope to do with Peshiga, which is what we're currently doing, is to create a multi-currency wallet that allows users to send money across the continent and also across the world. So essentially, it's a one wallet global banking, and so that one wallet gives you access to being able to spend anywhere or being able to solve major problems like relocation cost payment for migrants, currency exchange, remittance, receive salaries, people who work remotely, and being able to do all of this in one wallet. The key major problem that my team and I are trying to solve, which by the way, it's a very robust team. Between us, we have almost 40 years of experience in technology and in finance also. Moving money in and about Africa is quite expensive, and the United Nations says about 10% of the 48 billion that was moved in remittance in 2019 was paid as transaction fees. Africans working remotely have problems receiving payments. Africa is one of the most expensive places to send money to and from. The FX market in Africa is also, one that is currently requiring a lot of intervention and the rest of that. Now, one of the biggest challenges that made us build PaySugar is tuition fee payments. And this is because in 2020, TechAbout says about 41 million Africans might emigrated out of Africa, due to many interesting problems. And also in search of greener pastures and also better career pathways. But what is interesting is that a lot of these 41 million people who have moved out of Africa to the West or elsewhere, I've had to pay fees in sending money back home. So essentially, I want to send money to, let's say, my mother, and I have to pay a transaction fee to be able to send that money across. Now, which is why we built PaySugar, which is a fee-free platform for you to be able to do this. Now, one market advantage that we currently have at PaySugar is the fact that for our tuition fee payments, we are driving direct partnership with the Association of Commonwealth Universities, that's the ACU, which has 500 member universities. And that is why we decided to call ourselves the Flywire of Africa. It's quite interesting. One also is the fact that we are particularly the only zero fee virtual USD card platform on the continent. And so what we currently did is that we drove a wait list of over 6,000 people comprising of heavy spenders as SME owners, frequent travelers, international shoppers, and people who are our direct market to be able to drive this product in the first place. And this also includes people who want to send money back home or move money across the continent. Now, PaySugar currently we built an MVP, and we also have a waitlist, like I mentioned. But what is really interesting about this product is the fact that we've been able to tie in the problems that we face in Africa. It's not moving money across the continent. It's a general problem. It's not just a Nigerian problem. It's a Nigerian, Ghana, Kenya. Everyone has the problem moving money across the continent. And also, number two, there's a remittance problem. And so what we want to be able to, what we want to solve is that we're able to bridge that gap, number one. And number two, we are also able to ensure that as the AFCT is driving across, we are also able to ensure fair trade. And so if I want to buy something from my friend in Tanzania, I want to be able to send money to him, through a one wallet solution. And this especially what my friend Omwa in Kenya is thrilled about is the fact that, for example, when we were classmates together in the United Kingdom, and he told me sometimes when he wants to send money to his mother for electricity bills, because she's not very learned, he has to send money, to his M-Pesa, to an M-Pesa wallet of someone else. And then the person, chooses to do whatever the person wants to do with that transaction. And so we decided that we're going to integrate this as a full banking solution. And so as you can see the demo on your screen, we're able to send money, let's say, to my M-Pesa wallet, and then do bills payments, locally in Kenya, also do bills payment locally in Nigeria, and even do much more. But what is also interesting about this is the fact that for us as a team, and for one of the most important things that we're trying to solve is to ensure that Africa is really integrated. And the one of the easiest way we believe in doing that is ensuring that, the key part of any business is money. Is revenue, is also being able to move money to buy things, and also being able to move money as people across the continent. Yes, where are we currently? Currently, we have a waitlist of 6,000 plus people. We have an MVP that has been fully built. We have, we have two businesses who require us as BaaS providers. We currently, as part of our build process, we have partnership, with BaaS providers across the world, in Europe, in America, and also in Africa. We intend growing this to 10,000 users in 3 months, 20,000, and also growing this across. Our current ask is a $50,000 check for an angel ticket. And what we want to do with this money is to take this to onboard a wait list of 6,000 plus people, and then we can continue to grow these numbers. This solution is really wanted across West Africa. We've done a lot of surveys around this, and also we are hoping that we're able to close this in time. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Toby, for this. So it's a very quick presentation for each of them. If you have any question, you can actually be able to drop any question as the pitch is continuing. If you have any question, you can drop them in the chat box, and I can be able to pull it up and be able to ask them. But at the same time, if you want to, talk to them more, like I mentioned, after the pitch, there's a 5 minutes of breakout session. So you can actually maybe nudge me, let me know if there is any of them you want to speak with quickly in the breakout room, and I will add you to the breakout room with them. So we'll move to the next person, who is Sema. Sema.
Sorry about that. Thank you, Francis. Hi, everyone. My name is Sarah Mwindi. I'm the founder of Hopewell, and Hopewell provides therapy services for Africans. I'm actually from Kenya, and in Kenya, we have 13 million youth who have a diagnosed mental health disorder. But this translates actually to 2.6 billion market. But 80% of this market is not served because of two key reasons. One, people don't know where to find therapists or to access therapy services. And two, when they do, the therapy services are really expensive. And that's where our digital innovation solution comes in, SEMA. It's a digital platform that essentially connects clients and therapists who are looking for therapy services across the African continent. On the platform, you're able to choose your pricing plan. You're able to choose your therapist, book your session, have your session, rate your session. What's unique about this is that if you want to have your sessions anonymously, you can from the sign all the way through to the sessions. If you don't want to have your video on, you can be able to do that. In terms of quality assurance, you can rate your therapist after the session, and we have a really rigorous selection process for our therapists so that we ensure that they're certified, they're accredited, and have a partnership, an ongoing conversation for a partnership with the largest accrediting body in the country to be able to counter check that this therapist who's registering on our platform is actually accredited and certified to practice. What is unique about and the value that we bring to the table first is that our services, when we tell you that we are very keen on the quality of our therapists, we are serious. Two, that you can choose whichever platform to pay with, either locally or internationally. Lastly, you can be able to choose the pricing plan that you want to have, which is one of the things that makes us quite unique, especially in our market. We are acquiring our market through referrals and digital marketing, brand awareness and creativity through influencer marketing and campaigns, and B2B partnerships so that we can be able to build brand visibility and trust. If you compare us to the competition, two key things make us stand out. First, our competitors have a fixed price and it's expensive. If you don't meet the cut, then you can't receive the services. Two, the fact that it's a fixed price, we have 3 pricing points that you can choose from. And that is one of the other things that sets us apart, because we have the affordable pricing plans that all the other competitors do not have in the market. We make money through 2 ways, commission-based, where we charge a commission for the sessions that are held on the platform, and subscription-based, so that the client chooses the platform they want to have their session on. We have a team that includes a finance lead, a technical developer, myself, and a business developer as well. So far, this is what makes me really proud. We've had 140 clients that we have served. We've had 586 transactions on our platform. We've raised a seed round of $2,000 and have generated a revenue of $6,400. But that's not even it. What makes me even more proud is the story of this gentleman called Peter, who, when he started our sessions and started using our platform, literally had written a suicide note and had tried to harm himself. But by the 6-month mark, he had actually written a pledge to leave note. And that is the reason we do what we do, because we are able to change the narratives of the people we work with. We are asking for $150,000, which is going to translate into market acquisition, co-moderation of our business, and research and technological development. What this money will do is that it will help us have 12,000 transactions on our platform by the end of this year, and increase that to 4 times by the next year, and then double that to 500,000 by year 3. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sema, for that. We'll move directly to Dampanani. If you are speaking on mute.
was muted. Sorry about that. Hello everyone, I am Joseph. I'm the co-founder at Dawa Mkononi, and Dawa Mkononi is a Swahili phrase meaning medicines at your palm, and we are a 3-year-old pharmaceutical company focusing on innovation around the supply chain. So the biggest problem we are solving in the community is the inconvenience of purchasing for health facility owners. So did you know health facility owners, pharmacy owners have to travel physically to the marketplace, spend almost the whole day doing procurement of medicines? So this process is hectic and consumes a lot of time and energy. And on top of that, people have to use unfavorable transport conditions that also brings safety issues to the medicines, and provided some of the medicines are also cold chain. And on the process, we also solve counterfeit medicines issues through reducing middlemen that are not qualified to sell the medicines. So our solution is quite straightforward. It's a mobile app. It's available in iOS and Android. So the customers can easily select items they want, put them in the cart, and they can also make payments online easily. So on top of that, we offer better cost of medicines, easy payment, and also data-driven credit financing to help facilities have higher numbers of varieties of medicines in their facilities. So this is our product. We have all categories of medicines in it, and we have special features that make it easy for customers to make orders, such as the reordering feature and also tracking their order status. Our customers range from the smallest pharmacies possible to the largest hospitals, and we are currently in Tanzania, and we are having the vision to grow into all these other landlocked countries around us as they procure these medicines from the Tanzanian Dar es Salaam port. Our current business model is B2B. We have current margins of 10% with the potential of growing to up to 30%. And we are currently sourcing medicines from importers, warehouses, and then supplying it to the smaller facilities. So what makes us special is we use data keenly on every process of our company. We use it to improve the user experience. We use it to automate the internal processes of fulfillment of the orders. And we even go further and use it in the logistics processes. And we have the best delivery time in the market. We do 1 to 3 hours. We also have affordable and multiple payments. You can pay from literally any mobile money operator or any bank. And we have among the highest product ranges, thanks to the partnerships we have with suppliers. We have a small competition within the country. We have a couple of companies. Some of them were founded in around 2018, and some of them are around the East African market, not yet in Tanzania. So this is our team. We have Asorael. He's a full stack developer with over 7 years of experience. Ms. Kilalo, she heads the human resource and skills of our employees to maximize. Clemens runs all day-to-day activities, and we have a certified public accountant who runs our finances. And total team is 25 people. So these are our milestones. We have close to 850 active customers transacting, and we have done a total revenues of over 600,000. Last month we did 130,000. These are among the competitions we have won with grants of 165,000. And our ask is 500,000, could be equity or safe. And this is how we intend to use it, mostly for operational expenses and some of it as well for research and technical development. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Joseph, for that. Just in case anyone have a question, you can put it in the chat box so that we can really move faster with time. Or if you want to speak with anyone, you can let me know. So we'll move to the next person, which is Tayari. Tayari, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. Here to share our story. So this is Tayari. We are here to support and solve lifestyle challenge of our times. And we are doing it by solving the problem that most of us face when we visit restaurants of a different kind, whereby we face the challenge of finding waiters, understand the menu that is presented to you, or at times it takes way too long to receive your order. And we know you may wait for like an hour and then you just spend like 5 minutes or 10 minutes to consume your meal. So we want to solve these challenges and make our next visit to a restaurant more fun and of a great experience. So what we have created is a solution that allows any restaurant guest to make order and payment from their mobile phones. So it's an application that is found on both iOS and Android. So now with our solution, you can do it online. You don't have to wait for a waiter. You can actually order and pay from your mobile phone. You can actually order from your office as a pre-order, or you can order during traffic or stuck on a bus or anywhere, so that you can actually go to a place to suit your needs. We've also make it easy to understand menu. We have organized menu with pictures, prices, and easy to comprehend description. And to top it all, we have also provided restaurant with a POS that allows for whenever an order is done via mobile, is sent straight to the POS, but also to the chef for immediate working, even though we understand that it's on first come, first serve, but we believe by making it easy to access the chef, meaning that you serve all the time, you have to shout and call for the waiter and to get them to your table and make your order. But also we've also made it easy for the restaurant to also manage their dashboard and the restaurant by providing them with an inventory management system that works with them seamlessly. So here is a quick picture of our system. Is quite it's quite versatile, meaning it starts with the user, whereby we provide an application that user can use to search for any restaurant that is working with us. And the easiest way we have made it for customers that it provide restaurant based on GPS location. So you first see location based on where you are, but you can still search for any other restaurant. And we also provide a POS that allows for waiters to punching in order from customer visiting who are not using our mobile phones, and a kitchen display as well as a special waiter ordering mechanism that can be installed in their phone, and they can start receiving order from the mobile phones in the restaurant. We're also providing the restaurant with a dashboard that provide data and all the nitty-gritty that allows them to manage their business seamlessly and quick. So we provide front-end operation support, but also back office operation support. And currently we are live. We are working with 50 restaurants in Tanzania, and we have over 1,000 downloads of our mobile application, providing pre-order, dining, delivery, and reservation services to our customers. So our target market is quite huge. We have about 400,000 restaurants in Tanzania, as the data showcase, and this market contributes to about 4.4 GDP of our nation, which is about US dollars, and it is expected the mobile point of sales value to increase at a rate of 4.36 projection to 2017 to about 3.62 billion US dollars. So our value is that we are simple and easy to use. We provide access to business insight, but also provide real-time reporting on staff, customer sales, margin, and stock. And currently, we have also partnered with other companies and services to provide easy inventory to our partners. Our vision is to have a dashboard at the back end of restaurant, whereby restaurant can already order refills of various products. And now we are starting with Coca-Cola, who will be providing refilling of drinks to our restaurant partners. But we've also partnered with CRDB Bank in Tanzania to process payment from our restaurant partners. Our business model is B2B2C, and we are based on commission charges ranging from 1 to 5 to 10%, as I've said, based on the services that you're providing. And currently, the market that we are aspiring to reach is Africa. We are in Tanzania, and we are aspiring to move to East Africa, all the East African countries. And our request is $100,000 US for 10% equity that is going to be used to increase our sales, support our salaries, and marketing for Tayari. And we are also aiming to looking forward to return the investment, whereby after the investment, we are planning to sit with the investor after 14 months to look into a payback of 3x of the initial investment on agreement payable plan. And on the next round, we are aiming to raise from 600K to 1.5 million US, which is base C to Series A, as we are growing the platform. And the team, as you can see, we have launched about 4 other startups. So this is the 4th one, and a team of full stack developers who have been responsible to create this awesome system for restaurant and visitors. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Perfect, no worries at all.
Thank you very much.
So I would love to be there. Yeah, as long as there's.
Thank you very much, Adrian, for that. So we'll just head to the next, Lima. Lima, yeah.
Hi, everyone. My name is Arnold Shoko from Lima, where we are cultivating future for sustainable agriculture in Africa. And I'm here to tell you a story about 50%, over 50% African farmers in Africa. Now, the problem that we're trying to solve, it's okay. Are you listening?
Yes, continue.
Okay, so over 50% of Africans are actively, participating in agriculture, and they are mostly engaged in agricultural activities so as to improve their livelihoods and, support their families. But again, it's the sector that is highly affected by mainly 3 factors to mention a few. There is high cost of feed, but there is also over-dependence of synthetic fertilizers, but also there is effect of climate changes and post-harvest losses that are associated with the sector. Now, these factors make it very, very hard for farmers to make profit, as they contribute to over 60% the overall agricultural production feeds. And now this subject the overall continent at a risk of either acute or intensive food security of about 700 million people. Now, from then is where what we are doing, we are trying to market, we are trying to address the market of all of the agricultural and crop cultivators and livestock keepers in Africa, be fish meal producers, fish feed farmers, poultry farmers, pig farmers, but also crop cultivators. And we are trying to address an African market of around $13.9 billion. And currently in Tanzania, we have a market potential of around $240 million. But again, we can only at least save in the next few years, a market potential of about 25 million Tanzanian market. Now, our solution is very simple. We are talked about sourcing the organic waste, which are the basic raw materials for our production. Again, we involve processing and feeding, but again, the last thing is product refinery and marketing. Now, how we are doing our organic waste sourcing, we pass through markets and big hotels where we collect the organic waste, and again, we process them into our facility. But again, we also have what we call a household waste, organic waste collection system, which we call it Boxy High, whereby we offer dust bins customized with ability to produce maggots at the homestead. And from there, we also help to reduce the problem of waste that happens at home. And from the whole process, we get alternative protein feed ingredients, which are the maggots, but also we get the organic fertilizer. Now, what we offer to the customers, we offer a 30% affordable, 10% nutritious, and 100% sustainable fly fuel, which is an alternative protein feed ingredients composed of 100% maggots. But also we offer a bug boost, which is an organic fertilizer, which is comprised of a 30% affordable compared to the existing product, but also 100% effective to the soil and to the community. We are working in a sector with a number of competitions, and we have kind of tried to establish ourselves in areas with climate sensitivity, areas around making sure that what we do impacts the farmers in terms of farmers' productivity. We want to see like what we offer helps farmers obtain profit, which can help them undertake their daily livelihood activities. But also we focus on the soil productivities. We are also trying to see the pricing inclusivity as one of the factors that affect most of the farmers. Is like the price of the product are fixed, but with our product, we offer price inclusivity and we sell as per the customer's demand. But also we offer a household waste collection system, as I said prior, whereby over 70% of the waste that are produced in a day in big cities like Dar es Salaam, Mwanza, and Arusha comes from houses, and only 10% get picked up by the municipal. So we are trying to see that we are tackling the remaining 80% or 90% organic waste produced at the homesteads. Our business model involves products which are fly fuel and bug boost, whereby we offer it to our channels, which are the distributors. And again, we have our customers who are the animal feed manufacturers and aggregate. And again, we have our users who are farmers around fish farmings, around poultry farmings, around pig farmings, and organic crop cultivators. So we envision to be a leading company in Tanzania and beyond in Africa in producing alternative protein feed ingredients and organic fertilizers for farmers. What we offer is we offer effective and cost-efficient production, the organic certifications, but also efficient waste management solutions. But also in our operations, we use what we call collaborations with local farmers, but also we basically offer education and more of capacity building the farmers in terms of how they use the product and so as they can get the product. But also in terms of marketing and distributions, we offer a price inclusive product, we offer a high quality product, but also we offer our sales agents, which are mobile agents all over Tanzania. Last year, we managed to secure
30 seconds.
Create a revenue of $16,000 and we are focusing on $35,000 in this. We have a team which is comprised of 4 people. I'm the co-founder, around a student with expertise around fisheries and aquaculture and animal breeding. And we have our operational who has expertise in animal breeding and larva development. We also have our research and development, as our product really involves research and development. We are seeking for a pre-seed round size of 150K, whereby 40% of that will go into our infrastructure development, where we are currently working on creating a Lima platform, which will serve as a B2B platform for our agency, but also a waste collection platform for our customers. Thank you a lot.
Thank you, Lima team. Can you stop sharing? All right, thank you. So thank you, Lima team, for that. We'll just go to the next quickly. Smadarasa.
Yes. Yes, I'm trying to share the screen. My screen is okay.
Yeah, you can continue.
Apologies. So tell me when to start. All right. So Smart Darasa is a practical learning platform helping students understand STEM in an easy and a fun way. Now, when I was young, I wanted to be an engineer, but right now I'm a business developer. So this is a story of thousands of students of Africans, whereby we face a problem with more than 70% of schools do not have laboratories or have under-equipped laboratories. Teachers have a hard time teaching STEM due to environments. Students have a hard time to understand STEM, so they cram. So the outcome is that we have very few STEM professions in Africa, such as engineers and doctors. And thus we provide a solution called Smart Darasa. Now, Smart Darasa is an interactive learning platform helping students understand the reality and practicality of things they're learning in class utilizing 2D, 3D, and augmented reality technology. Now, we provide easy understanding for students, accessibility with anywhere with the network, and also it is a very convenient way for teachers to teach STEM in class. Now, our 2D technology helps students to understand different processes of things they learn in class. Our 3D interactive technology helps students to understand in depth of what they learn in class. And also our augmented reality technology helps students to understand things as if they're in their own environment, so they can perform chemical experiments at home. Now, at the moment, we are incorporating all this under one platform, transforming books from the previous one to make them more interactive and engaging to students. Now, compared to other edtech startups, we go a long way providing immersive learning for students and teachers. We started back in 2019. We started commercialization in 2021, and we're at the moment creating the full product, incorporating the theoretical and practical parts, and we're looking forward to expand to 10 countries by 2029. Now, from July 2021 up to now, we have created a revenue of only $8,914 from our beta product. We halted our sales efforts when we received the grant so that we can keep building the main product. We have impacted more than 70 teachers and 1,300 students through our exhibitions. We have more than 1,500 web visitors per month. And also we have more than 1,800 app downloads up to now. So we have partnered and worked with reputable institutions in the market, and our business model includes B2B, B2C, and B2G, whereby it involves subscription at all levels for our app or our offline software. And also it involves paid ads for our website, and also licensing of our technology to other partners. Now, the opportunity here lies in the numbers, because the value of e-learning market in Africa was 2.47 billion in 2021, expected to hit 4.71 billion in 2027. The catch is that there was more than 88% increase of online learners in 2019 to 2020. And also EdTech is a growing market size, and the market lifespan of the student from primary to university is very huge. Now, our go-to-market involves school visitation and marketing heavily to the public, partnering with teacher universities to teach teachers how to teach practically using Smart Darasa, and also partnering with teachers so that they can propagate Smart Darasa usage to their students. We have a team of 12, and we have a management team of 5, whereby Elias is our CEO, who is a full stack developer, having experience of working with national and international companies with a bachelor degree in telecom engineering. I am Kusiluka, the chief strategy officer, whereby I'm an experienced strategist in starting more than 10 businesses in the past, and also working with private companies. And also we have Roses, who is our COO. She's a very knowledgeable STEM teacher and content creator who has an experience of working with
1 minute.
We have Happiness, who is our CTO with a bachelor degree in ICT management. And we have Samuel Swila, who is our CFO, who having an experience of working with major companies. So we had the opportunity to be in the Ennovate program, where we had our 2 main mentors, Simon and Yvette, helping us to grow in our business model, our product, and also the value we provide to the community. So at the moment, we are raising $260,000, enabling us to run for the next 24 months. And we are looking forward to hit sales of more than $5 million by 2028. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you very much. Lucy, you can bring down your presentation. All right, so thank you. We'll go to the last speaker, last startup, Rabbit. Rabbit, 3 minutes, please. Thank you.
Good day, everyone. My name is Emenike. I'm the CEO and co-founder at Rabbit Africa. What Rabbit is doing is we're building an online management system for mobility entrepreneurs in Africa, where they can run and manage their business online while giving their customers a digital experience. I started this company with the understanding of my parents' company. I actually grew up in a transport based company. My parents had a transport company, and that company, as much as the company grew, it became harder to manage, and it will eventually shut down, because it was less profitable. The problem that vehicle owners and transporters face, it's a huge problem in Africa. On one hand, you have logistics businesses, where they only get to see what they make whenever they are around in the business. Take, for instance, Keziah. Keziah has paid employment, but she's running her own delivery company on the side, have drivers and have employees, but she only gets to account for the money she makes whenever she's at the office, because the riders are the ones that control all our system. Talk about a company called Transco. This is a private company where they struggle to become profitable because their employees are at the forefront collecting their payments from their customers. This exposes them to fraud and theft. Most transport businesses, they are actually struggling because they are still operating in an analog mode of operation, where they use the pen and paper mode to take down their details of whatever is happening. There's less efficiency for them to onboard new customers. And also they make decisions based on sentiment as against using data. What Rabbit does is it solves this for these entrepreneurs, these business owners, by giving them a complete overview of their operations. They can onboard a customer, they can receive payments, they can also organize their operations all on one dashboard. What Rabbit does for these entrepreneurs is we digitize their entire operations. Now on Rabbit, with a single sign-up, they get to be able to assign their drivers to specific routes, see how well their business is performing based on revenue, and also based on how much customers, how they are growing their customers. They now have full insights on the data that they are pulling in on their business. Our vision is to make every transport business have a digital presence online here in Africa, thereby giving them the same kind of reach tech-enabled businesses such as Uber or Sendy has, without them ever sitting down to write a line of code.
1 minute.
Our competition, we solve key problems for our competitors, building in integrated payment solutions that help them receive payments in real time, also allow them to have direct exposure to their customers one-on-one. Our business model is pretty straightforward. We're a SaaS platform, and we collect a subscription base for every operator that signs up with us. We also have a success-based fee. So for every transaction that goes on our platform, we basically make money from there. We launched 2021, and since then, we've been able to do over 8,000 transactions on the platform, all cashless. We're currently looking at how big this could scale, with one operator bringing in over 750 monthly bookings on one vehicle. We just need 100 vehicles signed up with us to get to 10,000 monthly recurring revenue with Rabbit. The team is built up of professionals that have worked with ByteDance, TikTok, Gona, and Flutterwave. So we have a combined experience of over 12 years in the technology space. We're raising 300,000 to scale up what we have done so far. We'll be investing this money in marketing, product, and operations. It's a scalable business, you know, and we've built a global platform where anyone can launch and grow a transport business, whether they're in Kenya, whether they're in Lagos, whether they're in Cairo. You know, anybody can log on to Rabbit, sign up, and basically operate their business from their phone. You know, we're also very climate focused.
30 seconds, stand up.
Yeah, we're also very climate focused. So, you know, with the offering that we have, we now can give these solutions to these drivers and these vehicle owners, thereby reducing the number of vehicles on the road. Thank you very much. Anybody that's willing to learn more about Rabbit, available to share more about our journey. Thank you.
Thank you very much, everyone. So that's the number of people we have for the pitching. So if maybe we're going to have just about 3 minutes, if anybody have any questions, any comments, we'll be happy to, you can be able to raise your hands, then you can be able to ask questions, then the staff can be able to respond to them. Before we move on to us talking about our funding principles and getting into the networking space. So if anybody have a question, next 2 minutes, the floor is open. You can be able to ask any question to any of the startups. All right, so if there are no questions at the moment, we'll also be able to share like the deal book with people that are interested after now to want to speak to some of the startups after now if you're interested in them. So we'll just go ahead to mention about how our program works. The initial venture building program is to get in more people, support them through our venture experts. And we get to now kind of identify which ones will probably fit into our bootstrapping fund. Of course, our goal is to be able to continue to support all of the startups through our venture building program that went through our venture building program. But at the point, we also have to kind of, we provide bootstrapping funds up to $10,000 on agreed terms to some of the startups. So we do this each cohort. So for this cohort, we are also looking forward to doing similar thing. All of the startups are really amazing. They've gone through some of the process, and we are really proud of like what they are building. We see a lot of potential in terms of like how they can transform their sector, and we will continue to also support all of them in terms of market connections, in terms of advisory where it's needed, and also they can continue to access our network of stakeholders, investors, and all that. Here we also have to now decide in terms of like which one possibly could really fit into our investment thesis, and also which ones are the stage where our bootstrapping funds can really be helpful to them. And we've gone through most of the program with them, and we are happy to be able to continue to provide bootstrapping funds to some of them, which we're going to mention here. Like I mentioned before, all of them are really amazing. Some are already bigger than our ticket sizes, so we're just going to help them to raise funds in other places. For the ones that we are looking to provide currently investment in principle pending on the negotiation and on the agreed terms, we're looking first to Tayari. Tayari is building a spa app for restaurants. We're also looking at Payshiga, connecting, building financial systems for migrants. That's something that we really feel like is really important for our ecosystem, and we really want to be part of the story as well. We are also looking at Lima, changing the food chain and also putting climate at the core of what they are doing. This is also very important for us in terms of like where we are going and how we want to really redefine in terms of where we invest and how we put impact at the core of what we do. So we believe working with Lima could be something really important to our portfolio. And lastly, we are looking to support SEMA from Kenya. SEMA is also at the core of like impact, you know, the story in terms of changing lives and bringing people, helping people to come out of depression, anxiety. We're not just investing just for capital returns. We're also looking at how does this transform lives? How does this really create a ripple effect for us? And also the stories that really touch lives. And that's like where we are coming in for SEMA. So these are the 4 startups that we'll be having our providing our bootstrapping funds. And over the next quarter, this quarter, next quarter, we'll be going through the negotiation with them and be able to look at how we can further support them with the fund. And at the same time, not just about the fund, we are really keen at helping them really structure out, continue to structure out like their strategies, their business model, their team to really be positioned to build very commercial business that will really scale beyond the region. And also we'll continue to help them unlock growth capital from our network and also from VCs in other markets. And so that's where we are going to be investing in this cohort for now. We are also, for every person that also have participated, we've built like investment networks that will really support what you are doing. And after this session, we're also going to reach out and be able to share with you some of the investor opportunities that could be really, that will match what you are building, and they'll be happy to be able to continue the conversation. But we are very open, you are part of our portfolio, we continue to support you, continue to find opportunities for you. And we're looking forward to working with other ecosystem enablers. If you are interested to support the startups that are pitched today or other ones that already participated, you can reach out to us and we'll continue, we'll connect you to them and you're able to provide, maybe look at best ways that you want to be able to work with them. So that is the part of the closure of the curtain. Now we're going to continue to provide in-depth growth-focused support internally as Ennovate to the startups that we are investing, and we'll also continue to provide support to every startup that has passed through this program until they actually reach their potential, they actually reach their goal. We are always going to provide the support, so we don't leave anyone behind. The goal is to be able to build a very role model ecosystem where startups are able to find the right resources at their different stages to be able to grow and be able to achieve the potential of what they are trying to build and reach their dream. I would like to say thank you to everyone. Before we move on, one of the mentors is here, Simon. I don't know if you want to say something before we get some of the startups to say anything about what they feel in the program. Simon?
Hello, Francis. Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Yeah, I'm Simon Balemba. I'm on a call from Cameroon, a co-founder of Mountain Hub and Mountain Angel Network. So I was one of the mentors some of the startups that pitched today, like Smart Darasa and SEMA. I think my mentorship experience with them was exciting. We went through their, I mentored them specifically on their business model and value proposition design, and it was really an exciting journey. And my feedback is that working with them for the past 4 months really showed me that there is hope for Africa. We have hope that will churn out more unicorns in the nearest future. And their projects were all exciting, solving core local problems that we all face in our day-to-day lives. And my hope is that they are going to put in the energy that they could put in during this as the program in the next phase of their journey as they're graduating from this cohort. We also hope that we as angel investors and as the ATOM managers are going to help to rally the resources that they also need to scale their ventures. And I'm also calling on all the angel investors on this network and other ecosystem enablers to also rally behind these startups and help them succeed. So once again, thank you, Ennovate Ventures. Thank you, Francis, for having me as a mentor in this program. I really do appreciate it.
Thank you very much. So we just have maybe 2 of the startups to just talk about just 1 minute each about the experience in the program. And we'll now be able to give our final vote of thanks and be able to close. Any of the startups that want to say something? Yeah, Sarah, you can say something.
Thank you so much. Francis, thank you to, I would really like to appreciate all the stakeholders that have participated in this deal day. I think the conversation and its quality has been very enriching and very, very value adding, especially as a startup, and also in terms of understanding the mindset of an investor and how to align the two. My experience in the program has been really, really beneficial. I really appreciate the input that our mentors have had, and that's why I was so excited to see Simon on this call. I really appreciate the input they have given in terms of helping us understand the fundamentals of our business and making sure that everything is clear and we can be able to communicate the same to potential investors. So thank you very, very much. Back to you, Francis.
Thank you very much, Sarah, for speaking. So I want to say time is up. It's already 8 p.m. I would like to say thank you very much to everyone that's participated from the beginning, listening to the speech, from the session, from the panel to all of the pitches. And we are just saying like this is the beginning. Our core work is to continue to support these very early stage companies, give them the right resources, and to be able to build very formidable businesses. And our doors are really open to every other startup that wants to be able to access support that we provide. In the coming months, we're going to also open the application for the next cohort. So look out for applications are open across the continent. So if you want to be part of this and you want to also be part of our portfolio, just look out for the applications and be able to apply, and we'll do well to be able to get back to you and provide the kind of support that you require. So I want to say thank you to everyone that participated, all the partners, the guys from Savant, VC, from Venture 54, Fongwo, and Sahara Ventures, every other person, Warioba, and other partners that really showed up. I'm really appreciative for everything, and we're looking forward to continue to work together. On this note, I would like to say Thanks, everyone, and have a great evening.